And so am I! Nobody cares! Sorry, he really bugged me.
Welcome everyone to the Omniverse of Nick, and we are getting in to part 11 of What If Daryl Died Instead of Merle. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the story so far, but before we get into that, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, so that way you can help this channel grow more and more than it already is, and so that more people can get announced with this channel and what it will bring for the future. Now, today's episode, we're going to be seeing Dawn, Abraham, and all that group, and Gareth and everybody, go to Washington. Let's get in. So Abraham, like his canonical self except a season or so earlier, is with a different group this time, obviously, looking out to see the horde that they saw before Eugene, admitted everything and that whole scene happened. But with a different group, it's much different, also season earlier, and Dawn, she looks around and asks everybody what should happen, knowing what Abraham wants, but wanting to hear from everyone else what they should do to get past that horde there. Gareth, surprisingly, out of nowhere, thinking that he has say in the matter at this point because it hasn't been that long since he was cuffed after, the whole deal, says they should just go through it. That's really the only option they have. And, surprisingly, Eugene and Rosita, to really their own chagrin, Eugene not really knowing Gareth, agree with Gareth's decision, saying that they really don't have an option. And Abraham, we all know what he wanted. He didn't agree with going around, south, or back, and that he wanted to go straight through. So this is pretty much a killer vote, a one-sided vote, if you will, to just go straight through the horde and everything like that. And Dawn, she's like, well, we all got our answer, and everybody else, just agrees. And that's what they do. They take the bus, they rev it as hard as they can, and drive it, and shoot, and this is a very, spur of the moment thing. They are driving this bus as fast as they can, shooting behind them, in front of them, to the left, to the right, upwards, downwards, all around the area, to one, not get their tires caught up and possibly get overrun with the bus and everything, but to also make sure that the road is clear. And just more on to the first point. And Eugene is pretty much crapping himself at this point, wishing that he had just admitted that he is really not who he says he is, but really everything that's happened kind of just happened, so he didn't really have a choice. And yeah. Dawn and Abraham are leading the entire charge of manning the bus and telling everybody in the bus, the cops, Noah. Gareth, kind of, because that's the whole reason why Dawn wanted him to be alive in the first place, and Rosita and everyone to man the bus, steer, and keep the walkers away. Soon enough, they get to the Washington streets, and the main building of Washington, which we actually got to see the whole place of Washington and the big building in season 9, but nothing really happened after that. It was just it was just a trip. And I actually played into Washington with my What If Eugene Knew the Cure, but I really did not do good in explaining fully that story like many of my others. But that's beside the point. That's getting a remake. I'm just throwing stuff out there. When they finally get to the main building and they finally have made it to the destination that they wanted to, Dawn, as well as many others, couldn't be prouder. They did it! They finally got to Washington. And with that, after making sure everyone's safe, no bites, no gunshots, no injuries, Dawn looks to Eugene's like, well, we're here now. Do your thing. And Eugene, he's not answering. He's just staring off, staring at everybody with a mix of fear, kind of regret for some reason, and just complete and total lack of emotion. Abraham and Rosita press a little bit after a few minutes of Eugene just staring all around and staring to himself and nothing. And they press him's like, okay, Eugene, let's do this. And Eugene eventually breaks and says he knows that they got here. He wishes he could have said it sooner. He knows what they're all expecting, but he can't. And Abraham's like, what? What do you mean you can't? And Eugene says he can't save the world. He can't do this because he's not a scientist. And everybody has the same reaction as you would expect. All of us knew that, though. And Eugene says it again. He's lied. He's not a scientist. And basically goes on the whole spiel that he did per the original story to a much different group. And because it's a much different group, and the fact that they are at Washington this time, it's much different. Because they're here, and it's much better and yet worse standing point for Eugene, I feel. And then he says a thing about being smarter than Abraham and promptly gets himself punched 3 times. Dawn raises her gun and she says to him very, shockingly sad and, angrily that he is not the only one who just lost something. Taking it out on Eugene she gets it, but it's not worth it. They all lost here. And Abraham just goes off and sulks like he did. And now Dawn has to take up the true management, as if she already kind of didn't do that, of the group, and says that now they have a problem. Abraham is sulking, Eugene's on the ground unconscious, who knows if he's dead, and they don't actually get to save the world. It was all just a big problem. A huge waste of time and resources. And now, she says that there's still some good that came out of it, believe it or not. Eugene wasn't lying about this place being the strongest lookout for survival. And it's really good. But just because it is, there's still walkers, they're still low on supplies, and it won't last forever, even if it does last for a very long time. They need to gear stuff up, find stuff, fortify, and actually keep this place because it's worth keeping. So she's going to send out a group of officers and go herself while everybody else stays behind and watches out. Gareth's staying because he still can't be trusted. Abraham and Rosita are staying so Rosita can try and cool down Abraham and get him back to his senses. Noah's staying more or less just to make sure that Eugene stays alive, or if he wakes up that he is alive. So with that, Dawn and all of her cops are going to be the ones who go all across Washington and beyond it to look around, stop walkers who are around the area, get stuff to fortify, and make sure that since it's a great place for them to stay, like Eugene even said, that it's worth staying for a long time. And eventually, after looking for quite a while and going through a lot of places and stuff, they find something in the distance. They see something in the distance. A good bit away from the Washington main point. It's a big, huge, fortress-looking building surrounding area with spikes, and just the rest of it just looks, desolate. But the building itself, it looks desolate, but it looks like some people live there. This is the sanctuary, How will Dawn and the hospital group be able to combat this if they actually go over there? Or is it too late for them? And how will this impact Woodbury later on? Find out next time. You guys didn't think this was the end of the video, did you? Well, the Omniverse of Nick has a new feature. A sneak peek at what's next to arrive.